Welcome to my book club, Naked and Unafraid, where we shed the conditioning that we have accumulated since birth. And we have special conditioning because we're women. I mean, men have special conditioning as well, but we have a unique set of conditioning as women that does not serve us. So in order to show up more powerfully, more influential, if influentially, is that a word? More with more influence in the world around us, we get rid of this conditioning because it doesn't serve us. And the way that we get rid of it is we read these two books on repeat. And today we are finishing A Woman's Guide to Power Unbound by Kasia Urbaniak. This book changed my life, and today she's talking about turning the spotlight, and that's the one thing that had the biggest impact on me. So we read these two books on repeat to rid ourselves of the conditioning, and I typically would start with this caveat of, I have a group here with me who's also reading the books. Thank you for being with me. And if I record this and I put it on YouTube, and if you don't want to be on YouTube, then don't say anything because it won't catch you. You won't ever be shown. Put in the comment what you want to talk about, and I will talk about it and be the voice. But typically we don't, well, I share some stuff that might be considered crazy to share on YouTube, but whatever, like, I don't care anymore. I'm just done. And that for me has been the secret to releasing shame, and I'm feeling a lot more free. So I would recommend it for everyone, but I understand that we're conscious of the people in our lives not being affected by certain things, and I am very respectful about my husband, and the way I speak with him or about him here is hopefully very respectful, but I'm all for growth. So if my journey of growth is going to help somebody else, then I'm going to talk about it. Okay. So that's the caveat. I would also ask that you guys mute yourselves, and I will ask for, uh, uh, what's the word? I will ask for commentary when we kind of get there, and then you can unmute, and it's kind of a free-for-all because there's a small group of us. Okay. So I think we are ready to start with that kind of caveat of what we're doing. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me. Let's all just take a breath. This is the final part of the book Unbound by Kasia Urbaniak. So it's kind of a big deal that we finished this book together. We've gone through it together. And it is a book that I will continue reading because every time I read it, I get a new little tidbit, and it's changing me and changing the way that I relate to the world and changing every single relationship I have. And that is my goal on this earth, to change me so that I can affect everything outside of me. So last week, we talked through chapters 10 through 12, and we talked about the power of playing with no, the word no. We don't like to hear the word no, so it keeps us from asking questions. And we also did an exercise lab. We did the rigged no, which was a lot of fun. We did that. That was chapter 10. Chapter 11 was the power of asking. So how to ask specifically for what you want. We, as women, typically don't ask things. And I was in a situation where I was sitting there at dinner with my husband. I had this ask yesterday, and I just was sitting there with it, and I was just too chicken shit to ask him. And he could sense there was something there, and finally was like, what is going on? And I just blurted it out, which was perfect. And it was all about technically how I'm developing this thing. And he is like, has this huge technical brain, and he is absolutely the right person to ask about this. And I just sat in it for so long because I don't want to hear the criticism or the should, but it's like the perfect example of, I was sitting there scared to ask him, and he's the perfect person to ask. And it was a great example of what's happening in my life that's always a reflection of what we're reading in the book. So we talked about that. And then we also talked about the power of navigating resistance. So whenever there's resistance to something, that means there's something there that we should navigate because we're trying to protect something. So when I was resistant to asking him something, I was trying to protect my sense of self, my sanity, my prodding of questions that he will ask me because he's very smart and often asks me very good questions that I probably need to be asked. And then if there's something in him that I can sense that's resistance, that's where if I don't go in there, then I won't ever get to what's underneath that. And figuring all that stuff out is how we move through a relationship with each other and get to something even more exciting than what we have. So there's a huge reason to do that. So we uncovered those chapters last week. We did the exercises, the rigged no, we celebrated ourselves, and we also did an exercise that's not in the book called I Am the Woman Who. So it's more of a celebration exercise. So I want to ask you guys, did you have anything from this past week reading those chapters or doing those exercises that you had an aha around or a question around or wanted to discuss something further around that kind of piece of the book before we move into the next and final piece of the book? And if you don't, that's fine. But if you do, I'd love to hear it. And everybody is still muted, so I'm going to assume that you don't.
All of the chapters just are kind of blobbed together.
They are.
Have become kind of blobbed together. So I'm kind of like, wait, what's from that and what's
Right.
from this? But one thing that I've been noticing, just not specific, but it's like, whoa, like all the work that needs to be done before an ask. And even like a small ask, I'm like, okay, even small, not very big ask, like, okay, what can I do? What are the things that I need to do to make sure that I'm congruent and that so it's just as clean and just so that I can get what I'm looking for too.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like now I'm like, I can't even ask because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need to do all this stuff.
I
Um,
think that really happens at first when you
yeah,
start to see it all.
yeah,
It's like, holy crap.
yeah,
I mean, I thought I was buried under it all, but now I see that I'm buried. So
yeah,
you're not alone in that, Phoebe. There's a lot at the beginning that is like, holy crap.
yeah. So what do? You just like, I don't know, do one of the exercises, like,
Well, first of all, you noticed it. That's the first thing. You
yeah,
celebrate the fact that you noticed it,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Holy crap, I noticed. I'm not congruent. Now I'm trying to get congruent before I can even ask. You just notice and you keep celebrating that you made that step.
yeah,
And then you just keep going. It's just practice.
yeah,
Just keep going. Like you're in it now, so you're not gonna slide back, but you're in it and it all hits you at once how much we're stuck in it. And I am right there with you. I totally get it.
yeah.
It's overwhelming at first.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
celebrate it. Yes, it's
yeah,
overwhelming. It's overwhelming
ah,
at first. I see it. It's a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for naming that.
Yeah, thanks.
I feel that a lot. And I also feel like, oh my God, I'm going to introduce this or talk about this with women that don't really get this. And holy shit, they're going to be overwhelmed. But we just keep going.
Yeah. Like when you asked your husband, you were like, kind of thing. Like, you know, and even that, it's like, is it the right time? Have I done enough like of like the clearing the work, before so
Yeah.
that so it can move in a positive direction.
Yeah. What I can also tell you is that what I try and center with myself is that it's never the right time. It's just quite literally never going to be the right time. So yes, we're supposed to get congruent, we're supposed to do all this stuff, but if I wait a second longer to do this, I'm wasting that second of my
Yeah.
life. I'm
Yeah.
taking that much longer to get where I'm supposed to go.
Hmm.
So my own practice is I just stumble the fuck through it. Like I stumble through it. Whatever is going to break is going to break. I'm going to get better. Like it's just practicing. I'm going to get better.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You do these book clubs multiple times a year.
Yes. You just keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. All right. I'm going to put my
Oh,
glasses on because I can't read the thing
thank
unless I
you.
put my glasses on.
Can
And
I
I want,
chime in? Oh, go ahead.
oh
Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. No, go,
No,
Jackie, Jackie.
I was just gonna add on what you were saying, which I think like it's such the good girl squeeze to like want to make everything perfect and like do this thing perfectly. And I think what an empowering thing to, like you were saying, fumble through it and like we're not going to get it right the first time, which is why I love practicing. I think that is a helpful framing for me to think about it because it is such a big learning curve and it's such a big shift. And yeah, we need each other to figure it out, I think, because you're right. It's like, am I doing it or am I not? And it's not really like binary in that way. It's like, oh, we're learning these skills progressively. How do you measure your progress? It might be like a light switch at times for many people, but I do feel like it's a little bit more of a grind and a, oh, didn't do it that time, but at least now I'm
Yeah.
aware of it. Like I'm
Yeah.
aware of the things and it's crawling through the muck a little bit, but
And
Yeah.
also having that compassion for us, for ourselves, never
mhm.
going, holy shit, I did that wrong again, or I didn't do this. Always directing that out towards our conditioning. Like it's our conditioning, it's the way we were raised, it's the society we were brought up in. It's a lot. And
Yeah.
remembering that our mothers never had this opportunity, our grandmothers, our great-great-grandmothers, like that then gives me the fire to just keep going because they didn't have this chance to change this conditioning, to stand up to their husbands the way that I now stand up to mine. And he looks at me like, you must be crazy. And I it's like just keep stumbling through it because that's the only way it's the only way we're going to change anything. And I have that opportunity and they did not. That just lights me on fire and I want to go like talk to him all the time.
Yeah. Ah, thanks.
Yes, Phoebe, there's a PDF with all the exercises. Ooh, Donna. Oh no, I'm reading last week. I'm reading last week's comments.
And I wanted to say something. I think it's also what like what Jackie was saying. That's what I was going to chime in and say pretty much the same thing. It's like conditioning of whether I'm doing it right or wrong. And and if somehow it's successful, I did something right. There's the catch, right?
Right,
I mean, if it worked, then I did the right things,
right.
right?
Yeah,
So it's just like stumbling through it and letting it be completely imperfect without even having um like an outcome that we wanted. And
right,
that's like the ultimate letting go of control.
right. The celebration that we did it at all.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
just that alone. And where it goes from there, who fucking knows?
right. Who
I
knows?
can't control.
No,
And it's not because I did it right, because I
right.
got the outcome that I wanted. I
And
don't know,
we do it that one time and maybe it doesn't go the right way, the right
whatever
way.
right
And
is. Yeah.
we adjust, it's just learning for the next time.
Yeah, yeah. For me, I'm still wrestling with that sister letter, and I, for me, it's about knowing my intention. Like I can't control the outcome, and I freaking don't want to. Like that's the last thing I want to do is stay in the jail of trying to think I control another person. I would hate that, or control me, like all that shit. But I want to know. I just want, like, what's my intention? What do I want?
Right. Yeah.
What do I want in writing to her? What does my deepest heart want with my spine and self-respect? It's been taken a few months.
Yeah. It's a journey, especially with family members. We've talked about this. All right, ladies. So that's what we did last week. Now let's get into chapter 13 is called Turning the Spotlight, the Power to Break the Freeze. So when I either read this chapter or watched her YouTube talk, my eyes lit up, my whole body was on fire because I recognized that my husband and I had been in this pattern. So I would come to him with a question, baby, what do you want for dinner? And he would say, what do I want for dinner? He would turn a question back around to me, not because he's being mean or manipulative. It was just his way of talking. And I would immediately be like, why did I ask him that? Why do I have to even ask him that? Am I so stupid? I can't figure out how to make dinner on my own. I would go inward and I would get frozen. And I mean, 20 some years with this man, and I didn't get it. It never made sense to me. But once I heard this turning the spotlight, which is simply when you get frozen or whenever, simply directing a question back out to the other person. So that is your attention going back out to that other person. So I learned in that situation that I could say, when he said, what do I want for dinner? I could say, yeah, do you want Italian or Mexican? Or I could ask him, why are you asking me a question in response to my question? Or I could ask him, why are you wearing that shirt again? It quite literally could be anything just to get the attention out. And I practice that. I practice. So whatever came up in my mind, like, holy shit, I would say, ask a question, and I would just direct a question back.
So good.
And if I did have a holy shit and I gave him something, I would then reframe it into a question and I would ask it back. And that is the number one thing that has turned around our relationship. It got a little, he was, in our situation, he was like, what is she doing? And he bought the book and he started reading it. So in our situation, he's like, I see what you're doing. And I would say, does that bother you? You know, like it became a little bit of a, at first it was a little adversarial and then it became a game. Like we can play that game with each other. That's really nice. But sometimes it gets a little, it can be a lot when somebody starts learning how to do that because it is just directing attention. So you can volley it back and forth, but you're not going to get anywhere. So we had to kind of move through. Oh, Carrie's now, she's showing up differently. She's playing the game differently. You know, that's an awesome thing because he wants a fully activated wife. He doesn't want a wife that is like, ah, why am I so stupid? I have to ask him how to make dinner. So and the to turn the spotlight is to get ourselves out of that freeze. So we freeze for whatever reason. We freeze very easily because we turn it inward all the time. We self-attack all the time. So in whatever circumstance in your life, you know, you're at the grocery store and the checkout clerk asks you something, you can ask them something back. You know what? It can be anywhere in your life. And that one tool is her like I don't know, it's the landing spot, the whatever the word is, the pedestal, the primary tool that she has in her toolbox. And she learned it because she is a dominatrix, was a dominatrix, and she learned that you push attention out in order to gather yourself back, in order to have a pause, in order to be able to then direct yourself more purposefully. And that one thing has changed everything for me. I'm looking at my notes to see if I read everything. Okay, it interrupts the trance that we have of shame or confusion by putting the focus on the other person. So it's just, I need to gather myself, I put it on the other person, just to take a breath, to get a breather. Grace, did you have something about this?
Yeah, could you just share an example of when, just to anchor it more for in my experience, like when you miss it and then you said you kind of reroute it?
Yes. So an example of that would be my husband says to me, "Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this course?" And I say, "Well, because I wanted to." And then I recognize I'm being defensive. And then I say, I think to myself in my brain and I say, "Well, why do you care if I'm doing this course?" And that's changed everything. So it doesn't have to be right in the moment, because in the moment you if you're not used to it, and who's used to it? In the moment you won't be able to. So I redirect it. I'm like, "Oh, I fell down again," which happens 10 times a day. I fell down again. Let's get back up. What's the question? What's the one question I could ask him? And then I direct it. And I remember to, whatever I'm defensive, that's something about me. And I take a breath and I remember to just try and ask it without that charge around it. Because why am I defensive? It's something I wanted to do. Okay, I don't know who had their
When I just had one more piece of that, I just realized
Yes.
that's what they're doing. When he says, "What do I want for dinner?" He's turning it back.
Yeah,
Not to be a jerk, but that's just like that's how they've learned.
right.
And then my experience of that is that I'm having my whole, so this is my conditioning, is that my whole existence is being questioned.
Right.
You know, why
But
would you
it
think
doesn't
that? Why
matter
would you?
why
Yeah.
he's doing that,
No,
right?
I know, but I'm just saying it works.
Yes.
And we're learning to work it too.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
it.
we are. All right. I think Jackie was next.
Okay, so this might circle back around to what Phoebe was saying. Do you, to start employing this skill, did you have like a list, a short or long list of questions that you like have at the ready? Because I feel like when you freeze, it's like my brain just like empties and I'm like, well, like didn't do it that time because I couldn't think of anything. Like you practice a couple, or it's like you get better at just like
Yeah.
intuiting what works in the moment. Like I feel like I need like a tool box with a couple that work. Or does
Yeah.
that question make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I did have a couple that worked. Why are you wearing that shirt? Just like nonsensical things. I had them, I journaled them, and I also I worked with this tool that I worked with AI, honestly, to I would talk to it about what my issue was, and it would help me come up with something that was so beautiful. And I would like make that be in my own voice, and I would just kind of practice it. And then when it came up in the room, it came out more naturally.
I literally just ran a general list in ChatGPT of like this type of question.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you were tailoring it to your situation. Like something
Yeah.
kept happening over and over, and you're like, right, this keeps happening.
Right.
How do I respond? Is that right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. I think Anne, were you next?
Yes. I just so appreciate this conversation. And three things now occurred to me. One, what you said, I think at the core is true. Like it lands like, do I have a right to exist?
Yeah.
Right? Just literally,
Yeah.
am I safe existing here?
Right.
Right? Will I be safe if I exist? And so we're modulating little by little, like, oh, I get safer and safer the more I'm visible and speak up and discern in the moment. So on that note, on that deli story I told of, it can be a statement. It can be energy. It might not be even a question coming, like,
Yeah.
her rolling her eyes and saying high maintenance, right? That's a statement. That's an energy that didn't feel good. Right. So I did, judging, and that felt really good.
Right.
Right. And that next round where she said another thing, and I said, it wasn't a question, right? And I said a statement. I said, just another woman who knows what she wants and what she doesn't want.
Right.
And I can tell, this is the thing about evolution, there's always another layer, perhaps. The next
Always.
layer would be to actually turn the attention out, because I was still making a statement about me. And I'm not negating, I'm super fucking still celebrating that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I can tell, like, oh wow, there's gradations. The safer I feel within myself and then where I am in the room with who's there, I could actually direct it back to her.
Yeah.
Say, oh, so you think it's high maintenance for them to get another piece of bread?
Yeah.
Right? Like to ask her a question
Right.
in my pleasure to me. It's all about the pleasure that
Yes.
I know that I'm free. I get to have pleasure where I would have been frozen and scared.
Yeah. And I think that's it doesn't always have to be a question to direct it out, but for us like newbies that don't a question is the easy route. A question directs it back. So, it could be something else that is directing that energy back out to them so that you can then gather yourself. But a question is the easy like bing bong boom done. Question.
Yeah, I had such a great example right after taking Kaja years ago with this whole question thing. I was walking Golden Gate Park here in San Francisco, and I heard this voice, and I noticed kind of these two or three guys, I mean, flash judgment or assessment, kind of homeless, right? And I was on the other side of the street, and they said, hey, want to have dinner or something? And I was so intact, and probably because I was also safe on the other side of the road, I was so expansive. I said, oh, you want to have dinner with someone? Right? And then they said, yeah, what do you want for dinner? I go, what are you serving? Like I was completely in a conversation that I'm sure I would have felt threatened earlier, or if I was on
Yeah.
the other side of the street. So it's always about discernment.
Yeah. And that's so fun when you can get to that place. I mean, that is like just fun playing with the world, right? That's so fun when you can get to that place. I think Carrie, you had a question. Did you have something?
Yeah, I remember when the book first came out, and I was reading about that of turning attention in and then turning, having someone put their attention on you and then you putting it back. And and some guy came up to me. I was like getting a bagel, getting ready to go to work. I had my little like work badge on, and he's like, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" And I'm answering him, right? And then he's like, "Oh, and then where do you work?" And then I just went, "Why do you ask?"
Mm,
And and at the time, I it was a way for me to locate him. I mean, he could have said, "Well, because my daughter is looking for a job." I don't
right.
know.
You
So
have
it's
no
also a
idea.
way to locate, right? It's also like, what's your intention in
Right.
this circumstance?
Right.
And trying and doing the best that I can with not coming like, why do you, I mean, so yeah, I can have an attitude, right? And I can be like, why do you ask? You know? Or I could be curious and go, why do you ask? And kind of locate where that person's at, what their intentions is. Your intention to be a jerk? Is your intention to ask me questions that are none of your fucking business? I mean,
Right.
like like where is that person at?
Right.
Right. Um, so I think it's a great way of like, Kasha was saying of having them take instead of putting the attention out, they have to go back within themselves to answer that, to like find the headspace to answer it. And then it's also to locate where the other person is. Like,
Yeah.
where
And
are
then with that example, you can imagine how, I mean, you could actually make a lifelong friend from that conversation, right? You don't know why they're asking. They could come back with, well, because I think you'd be perfect for this other opportunity that I have. I mean, so it puts us in a position of creating something with that other person. Whereas before we just were like, and not in that space. So when we get curious and we can do that, that's where the magic happens, right?
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it
good.
does. Yeah, for sure.
Grace, did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to celebrate again the brilliance of Anne's story. It flashed on me yesterday. I was walking across the street and it was like, I feel like even though it wasn't a question, you did put it out because you
Yeah,
didn't say, I'm just a woman who knows what I want. It was just another woman who knows what she wants and what she doesn't. And I was just like, you're creating like a tribe community, you know, and you're also like empowering that person. Like, hey, you're a woman. You could also be another woman who wants to knows what she wants. It just I think it was brilliant. I love how
Yeah.
it came out.
Yeah. I used it too, Anne. At dinner, my husband said something about high maintenance or low maintenance, and I was like, What is maintenance?" It's like just because that term is directed towards women, it's never directed towards men, and it's kind of bullshit. So just, like, yeah. I mean, we're affecting each other, which is brilliant and beautiful and makes me so happy. Yeah, right? And
Totally. I've got goosebumps. And
I
just
know, it's so awesome.
like I'll probably remember what I was going to say. And right now, I just want to bathe in the power of us meeting and telling the truth, whatever it is, and where
Yeah.
we are without judgment. And yeah, that was fucking awesome. That story, it's so impactful. And literally I feel like I'm building the landmass. My hand was raised because we have been trained that safety is by connecting to the other, right? The man will take care. I'm not allowed to work in the world. I'm property in the 18th century. Like, so it really takes my awareness to go build my own landmass. I don't need the person in the deli, my friend in the deli, or even my sister for me to be able, even though I would miss her so much, my heart, I do miss her now. And it's happening so I don't need her. Like I need me.
Right.
And then I can love her. So,
Yeah.
that's taking a while.
And the whole maintenance thing is, I mean, it's a habit to refer to a woman who knows what she wants as being high maintenance. It's a habit. So I try not to fault anyone that is saying that because they don't understand. They don't know any better. It's a habit. So we now can stand up for it and say, hey, no, that's just a woman who knows what she wants. And maybe eventually whoever uses that term will learn, oh, wow, yeah, that's right. So I try not to point out and say, oh, they're so awful because they said this. No, it's just a habit.
It's a habit. And okay, so things that are high maintenance usually have a lot more value, right? And we are like literally like the female body takes a lot more, is a
Yeah.
lot more complicated and all that, even just physically. And then
Yeah.
obviously there's so much more. But yeah, okay. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Ooh, that's so good. I want to add also a woman who knows what she needs and what's a delusion. Like, what I don't need. It's a little different than what I want and what I don't want. What do you actually really need now? What do I need now that I'm an adult woman and connected to the whole world?
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just an important distinction.
Okay. Ladies, I'm going to keep us moving. So she has two exercises in this chapter. I think they're the last exercises that were in the book. One is called Uncomfortable Questions, and we're going to do this week in our exercise lab. So it's an exercise where we just keep asking a question to the person, and that person then directs a question back to us. So it's practicing exactly what we're talking about with each other so that we can kind of get comfortable with it. And it's a lot of fun together. So we're going to do that. And then there's another exercise called the Jason that she has named after a volunteer dude. She always had dudes in her classes live who would serve as the volunteer dudes who would direct a question back. And she called it the Jason. He was the guy that would stand up, and I'm just going to share it, which is a little uncomfortable for me, but I'm going to share it anyway. When she would have these dominatrix sessions, it's not about sex at all. It's just about dominating and attention. But eventually a dude would say, well, this is great and all, but when are we going to fuck? So that's what Jason would direct. That would be the question that he would direct. And then whoever was against the Jason she would direct it back to him. Well, why do you think you can ask me something like that? Why are you wearing that shirt? Aren't you full of yourself to think that that's going to get somewhere with me? Like whatever it was. So that was the Jason. So I think that's another level. We're not going to practice that in exercise labs. I'd have to get a dude, I think, to act as the Jason, but we're going to do uncomfortable questions. Probably on Wednesday, I think, but we'll figure it out. All right, we're going to move on to chapter 14, which is also really foundational. Cutting through the fog, the power of location. So this chapter is about piercing through the vagueness or weird energy by naming what seems to be going on. So I think we talked about this a little bit before, but it's, I see something's happening with my husband. I've made up a complete story in my head about what might be happening. And instead of just saying, "You're pissed at me again," I say, "It seems like you're pissed at me. Is that true?" So that locates what I think might be happening with him, which is a story that I've made up in my head. So we're always testing to see if those things that we are making up in our heads are actually true. They might be completely untrue. They might be true. But when we ask it like that, it's called location. "Baby, you seem confused. Is that true? Baby, you seem tired. Is that true?" When we ask it like that with a question, we're directing the energy out. So it's just so much cleaner because then I get back "No, I'm not pissed. Like, why'd you get that?" And then it's a question back to me. "Oh, well, it seemed like you were talking this way to me. Were you not doing that?" So it's like a constant volley that can be tiring, but we get so much more, I get so much more information. We get further with those types of conversations than me just saying to him, "What, you're pissed at me again. What? Why are you pissed at me again? What's going on?" Even that was a question, but "Oh, you're pissed at me again." I mean, that gets us nowhere. So locating. So it clears ambiguity.
Can I pop in there?
Yes.
I love that where you just willing to check our stories.
Yeah.
Like willing, which means willing to be in relationship with someone, not in control stuff.
Right.
And so now with Chris and I, because we've had like 49 years of practice. Anyway, so now I actually can finally celebrate where I'll just check quickly, like how you described, and then I'll go, "Oh, I was wrong." He'll go, "Yeah." And I'll go, "I was wrong." Like, but I was trained to be so fucking armored and defensive.
Right. Right. I mean, even that, and it's like huge. "I was wrong." Yes. And they can look at us like, "What is she doing?" But I was wrong.
He loves it. I mean, we were both so, traumatized child, armored
Right.
people. Like it took so much. It's so great to like actually, not 100% of the time, but oh my God, I can like feel open and erotic and loving and more and more and more with almost anybody.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Thank you for that.
Oh,
Okay.
Well
Let's see.
celebrated, Mistress Goddess.
thank you.
Very well celebrated.
Thank you.
The last time we went through this, a woman shared how she was doing exactly that. She was reacting to a story that she had in her head, but when we locate the person, it shifts everything. "I was wrong." Okay, well, it's happened before, it's going to happen again. Yeah, so good. All right. Do you guys have any more about this chapter before we move on?
Well, I did have an aha yesterday that another function of keeping our old stories, why we hold them so tightly. And like I was the queen, and I'm not kidding, I still have to fucking work so hard.
It is hard work.
I was like, oh my God, because then my life will move forward.
Yeah,
Like I kind of can be an illusion. If I stay the same, I'll never age. My story's the same, and I'll never
everything,
die.
nothing.
Yeah. It's like shit. Stuff moves forward. Just like like get on the ride, let the water keep, it's moving anyway.
Yeah. We hold on so tightly to those stories. We want them. Yeah, I can't wait to read the next book because it's all about that. So good. All right, let's move on to chapter 15. Chapter 15 is Whisper or Shout, the Power to Calibrate. And what she talks about in this chapter is that we're going to ask a question, and sometimes it's going to come across really quietly. Baby, are you mad at me? Or, baby, are you mad at me? It's going to come across differently. And at first, we might feel like we're bringing that, baby, are you mad at me energy, but it's coming across really delicately because we don't like to do this. We're new to this. We're trying to get used to this. So we're going to feel like we're being really bold and loud, and we just really aren't. So she tells us in this chapter to just go for it because whatever we're bringing is probably not nearly as much as we feel like we're bringing because it's brand new to us. And whatever we are bringing, we have years, decades, centuries to make up for all the time that we couldn't bring this. So if we're going to hit too hard, we're just going to have to stumble. We hit too hard. They had a reaction. We'll all be okay. Nobody's going to die. So be okay with doing that. Yes, Anne, did you have a comment?
Yes, I mixing my acting years ago. I think I might have said this once. He said the water has to run brown. If it's been turned off, it has to run brown at first before it gets clear. And also, I was the opposite. Like I went to that beginning acting class and something ripped open to me in the scene because you could tell I'm very like, I've got a lot of life force and it just all spilled out and it was everywhere. And so anyway, he said, oh, go to the advanced class, right? Just because I was so emotional, I guess. And so the thing I learned from him, the next thing was, he said, there's two kinds of people that come to an acting class. People strongly, the protective is very strong and he has to just gently kind of sandpaper, like it gently you become more and more willing to take risks and be emotionally open. And then he said, there's people, and then there's people like Anne. And he said, there, the trick is to shape it without killing it.
Mm,
It was so beautiful.
yeah, that's awesome. To shape it
Yeah, without killing it.
without stepping on it. Yes.
Yeah, judging it, condemning yourself.
Right, right.
Yeah, keeping your spirit alive,
Yeah.
just shaping it so that
Yes,
it can have the way to easily move through and connect. And yeah.
yes, the commitment that it's beautiful no matter what color it is.
Right. No matter what. Yeah. She wants us to practice this calibration thing because she wants this to land in the other person's body. And she says that if we can learn how to calibrate it, if I'm asking really silently and quietly and it's not really landing with my husband, it doesn't go anywhere. So we need to calibrate so that we can actually see it land in their body. And once it lands in their body, then we can, come back and get some information about it. The other thing she says in this chapter is that when we ask something, oh no, that's the next chapter. I'm not going to move on to the next chapter until we're done with this one. So she says, practice with your tone, your intensity, and your timing. And we want to be curious. Always, always, always. It's that curiosity. What is behind that? What's underneath that? What am I trying to get to with this calibration? And is it landing? And if it lands, then it's going to unlock something. And I want to know what that is. So that's why I'm calibrating. All right, ladies, I'm going to keep moving us along because I want to get through this. So chapter 16 is Let Them Light You Up, the Power of the Outrageous Ask. So this was really telling to me when you start asking you kind of get a little like, I don't want to ask for something that's too much. So I'm going to ask for, instead of, buy me a dozen roses, I'm going to ask for daisies, which I think might be easier. Like maybe it's an easier ask. He could get me daisies. Maybe they're not as expensive as roses. Maybe I've got daisies growing outside. He can just go cut me a daisy. But then when he, in his wonderfulness, goes and gets a daisy and delivers me the daisy, I'm like, nah, it's not roses. So we always are we're calibrating is the wrong word. We're downsizing our outrageous, wonderful, perfect asks because we're scared to ask for the whole thing. But we are then doing ourselves and them a disservice, because if he's going to go through the if he's going to say, this is what she wants, and he's going to go and he's going to try and serve me, and he's going to try and give me exactly what I want, which is what he wants to do anyway, and he's going to go cut a daisy, and then he's going to give it to me, and I'm not going to be lit up, who am I serving there? Neither one of us. He's going to get frustrated. I'm frustrated. Let's stop doing it. What is the ask? Ask for all of it. Ask it. And she has an example in here of, it's not ever going to be too outrageous. Is your ask as outrageous as Rosa Parks? If it's not that outrageous, maybe we need to dig a little deeper. There's something in each one of us that is an ask that is exactly that outrageous. And why won't we be asking for it? I mean, it's just something to think about. All right, let me see what else I said for this chapter. Oh, here's a good quote. Transformation of womankind and the world cannot happen without a transformation of the way women are with men. It just can't. So, in order to excite and incite men to join our crusade, in order to turn them into our greatest allies, we have to ask. I cannot get my husband on board or get him to be an ally with this thing that I'm creating, this thing that I'm birthing, and his big, fabulous technological ops brain. I can't get him to be an ally if I'm at the dinner table and I don't even have the balls to ask. So, so stop whittling down what you want. Ask for it uncomfortably, ask for it, even if it's not perfect. Just ask. And whatever you ask for the first time might come out wrong, probably will come out wrong. And it's just practice for asking the next time. That's why the one exercise we're going to do this week is really, really helpful, because we just go back and forth, and maybe you'll get to something that's even more important than the first thing that you asked. Okay. That is all I had for the last chapter. Do you guys have questions, concerns, ahas, holy craps?
I'm remembering when Kasia was talking about that when she was like in a relationship or something, and if they had like an issue, or she had an issue with the other person, or the person had an issue with her, that they were only allowed to do it in an accent.
Yeah.
Which I loved.
That was so good.
So the same with an ask, like if it feels uncomfortable, I mean, I don't know, maybe you could be like a Russian or like a Southern belle, or you can be whoever,
Right.
and just to like get out of your own head and make it fun and playful.
Yes.
Where, whatever, I'm Sandra D. I'm just asking you a question. Come on, I mean, you can just, I don't know, something to get playful with.
Yeah. to get playful, to use your imagination. I mean, all of this breaks us out of the good girl, right? Like we're so stuck in her. So to get playful with whatever that is in any way possible, who cares?
Yeah. And then another one that popped in my head too, unrelated to Kasha, was somebody where they said, if they have a big ask or a big thing that they need to like bring up with their partner, friend, or whoever, they lay down on the ground and like hold hands. So it's just, like, okay, I've got something to say, and you lay down on the ground and you hold hands because then it's not so like confrontational, or you're not feeling confrontational. And it's like, it grounds you and it
Yeah.
connects you,
Yeah.
like, I don't
That's
know.
so good. I love that. You could also be just like staring up at the trees, like,
Yeah.
and
Let's
that's like,
back to back.
right, your
Like
total inspiration,
go back
like,
to back. Yeah.
right. Of course, wow, like the trees and the moon or whatever is just holding me in this question and holding the other person's hand. Oh, that would be so awesome. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
And laying on the ground, because then
Right?
you're total surrender.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so good. I love that. All right, let me see what else I have on our agenda. We are almost up to the hour, and I'm a little sacred about that. I wrote down at the end of today was that the spotlight is yours now. It's ours now. She talked about turning the spotlight. It's ours now. We don't need permission. We just need presence. We don't need permission. Like, what are we waiting for? We're waiting for ourselves to feel more comfortable? No, it's never going to happen. So it's ours now. What are we going to go do? What are we going to shake up in this world? What are we going to make happen? Who are we going to ask? And what are we waiting for? So we're finished with the book this time. Did you guys have anything else? I'm almost sad that we're done with it because it's such a it ends on that just like really juicy ball of excitement. And I'm like, oh, it is the book. I want to go back into the book. But that's not what we're meant to get out there.
Oh yeah, I've been practicing with. I've got a couple friends. They haven't read the book. It doesn't matter. Like you just pop in when
Yes.
you know. Say, hey, will you do this drill with me or whatever?
Yes. The book is such a good safe ground though. Like I read the book for so long in these book clubs. I would read it for so long because it was like a safety net, in case I got any of it wrong. Like good girl, right? Like that's absolutely what that is. Like I'm gonna get it wrong, so I'm gonna read it because then I know I'm gonna stay right. And it's nice to have this book. If you're explaining it to your friends, then I don't have to really go like, what is this thing Carrie's doing again? She's so weird. Oh, it's in this book. I got this book. This other lady who's an expert. I don't have to be the expert. But you're right, Anne. Like, why? Hey, I want to practice this thing. It's a totally weird thing. It's going to be totally new to you, but I started practicing it. It's changed everything that I'm doing. Here's what it did between me and my husband. Let's practice.
Totally. I do that with improv too. I have friends I could do word at a time story with, like a little play, 2-minute date on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah. What are we scared of? We're not going to die.
Yeah, Grace, you're an improviser. I'm going to put my phone number in that chat. Anybody who wants to practice a drill of Kaja or play an improv game with me in a 5-minute phone call
Woohoo, awesome.
anytime.
Are you in our Facebook group?
No, I don't do Facebook. I
No
can't get
worries.
over the misogynist.
Yeah. I understand. No worries. I am trying to figure out how we could better be a group. I'll get to it someday, but until then, we have the Facebook group, we have our meetings here on Zoom, we have our emails that I send you guys. There's something else I'll come up with. But Anne, thank you. Thank you for your phone number, for your openness to do these exercises. We're gonna do exercise lab at least on Wednesday this week. And we have hit our hour, and I'm pretty sacred about not going over. So ladies, thank you for taking yourselves on. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for continuing to evolve in the world on your own so that we can shift everything around us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you
I
so
will
much,
see you
everybody.
this week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Mistress Goddesses.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.